welcome back to, I think I didn't change this. Let me double check and make sure that I did the right thing. Yes, this should be 4. Sorry about that. Algebra 1, Chapter 11, Section 4 in this book. Had to make sure I was doing the right thing there. So, do you remember back, getting your Wayback Machine, doodle-doo, 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 okay, when you learned to simplify fractions? And what you would do is you would think, what's the biggest number that goes into both 12 and 24? Well, 12 does. 12 goes into 12 one time, 12 goes into 24 2 times. So if we reduce that fraction, it's 1/2. Remember that? Now your calculator will do this for you. If you put in this calculator, your TI 84 you're supposed to have for this class, do 12 divided by 4, it'll say 0.5. And then if you hit the button that says math, which is funny because aren't they all math, and then hit enter, maybe enter again, it'll say 1/2. It'll reduce your fraction for you. Very handy. But what about if it's got x's in it? Then your calculator can't do it for you. So there's a whole thing of math. Now this, what we're doing, you will do much more in Algebra 2, pre-calculus, college algebra, but they're giving you just an introduction to it in Algebra 1. We're toward the back of the book and they start doing some stuff that's really more taught in other classes, and this is one of those things. Okay, but what about this one? Can we reduce this? Can we mark out that 3 and turn it into 1 and make the 6 into a 2? No. You are not allowed to cancel out because of that plus sign. I always say that it's like these are married and you can't mark out one without the other, and what makes them married is the plus or minus sign. Now, another thing about this, if we were solving this, so we can't do anything. That one's done. That's all you do. It is simplified already. Sometimes they will ask you what is the domain. And what that is fancy math for is, remember, you are not allowed to ever divide by 0. It breaks the laws of science. It's against the law of conservation of mass and energy. You cannot make mass and matter or energy go away. Ever since creation, it's here. So that is not allowed. If you try it in your calculator, it will say error. Okay? So sometimes they will say, what is the domain? And that's fancy math talk for what can x be? And x can be anything except -6. Because if x is -6, then that'd be -6 plus 6, which is 0, not allowed. So the domain is, sometimes they'll say all reals or all real numbers, all reals except x does not equal 6. When you get to college, they will teach you different ways to write this down. If you understand the concepts now, I'm happy. Alright, so here's another one. Can we reduce this? Can we simplify it? And we can. And the reason why is as long as it's not plus, as long as it's multiply, you're allowed to cross it out. So multiply is just dating. But plus or minus, that's married, and we can't mess with that, okay? So we have multiply 2 times this and 2 times x, so those can cancel out, which I think is fun. I like marking out math. Can we mark out the x's? No, because of the plus. So the answer to this one is x over x plus 5. That's as simplified as it can get. How about this one? Can we mark out those x squareds? No, because of that plus. But this is a multiply. So we can mark out this x and one of those. And that's all we can do. So the answer is x squared plus 6 over x. How about this one? Can we mark out those x's? No, that's all you can do. That plus holds it with the 4. How about this one? Can we mark anything out? No, because of that minus, but we can pull something out, then we could mark it out. Because 2 goes into both of these and x goes into both of these. So we're going to pull out a 2x. We put down the lowest number of x's, which is just 1. What's left here is an x, and what's left there is a 3. And what we have on bottom is 6x minus 2. 6x squared. And this 6 is made out of 2 times 3. So I'm going to turn that 6 into 2 times 3. And my 2's can cancel out. This x can cancel out one of those x's, leaving one. So what I'm left with is x minus 3 on top and a 3x on bottom. And I think these are fun because I like marking out. I think crossing out is just one of the most fun things you can do in math. Okay, let's do another one. How about this one? Can you mark out the 2 that's in that 4 or that x squared? No, because of those plus and minuses. But if we factor it, we probably can mark something out. So first of all, that is not proper. Do you see that? It is proper to have your x's before your 4's. So I switched it and made it negative x squared plus 4. And then I decided that I wanted the negative pulled out because I had a feeling in my gut that I would be able to mark something out, but not with that weird negative in front of the x squared. So I pulled out a -1, and that made this positive, and it switches that one to negative. Now I think I'm ready to do my problem, and I'm going to factor the top and bottom. This is the difference between two squares, and that looks like it can factor. So this one is x plus 2, x minus 2, and that one is x plus 1, x minus 2. Now, yay, I get to mark those out. Isn't that fun? And what's left? A -1, but we're all cool and make it understood. An x, whoops, I left an x plus 2, and an x plus 1 is what was left because we marked out the minus ones. All right, so that's the answer. Now, sometimes at this stage of math, and this is really Algebra 2 pre-calculus kind of skill, different people will have, math teachers will have slightly different answers. And you might have found this out if you ever went to Wolfram Alpha and Mathway, put in a problem, and these two different websites will give you two different answers sometimes. Once you get to this stage of math, different teachers will decide where you stop is different sometimes. So know that like my answer might be slightly different than the book. It doesn't mean I'm wrong or the book's wrong. It's just we have difference of opinion of when it is simplified and when you can do a little more to it. Okay, so here's another idea with all of this, geometric probability. When we learned probability earlier in the year, we learned that probability is the number of favorable divided by the total number of outcomes. For example, if we do a flip a coin and I say heads, I win, and I flip it, there's one favorable outcome, but there's two outcomes total. It could be heads or tails, and so my probability is 1 to 2 or 1/2 is how you read that. So you can also apply probability to areas in geometry. It's called geometric probability. And say it's like I'm throwing a dart at this. And what's my probability of hitting B? Well, the area of B is the favorable outcome. The total area is the total outcome. And it's not that B's the circle and A's everything else. B's the circle and A's the whole thing. Later on you'll learn about odds, and we'll go there. But A is this whole thing. So what's the probability of hitting B? Now here's another one. This is the whole thing, is this thing, and the little rectangle is what I'm trying to hit. So the favorable is the area of the little one, length times width, x times x plus 2. And the total area is 3x times 4x minus 4, length times width again. And this is my geometric probability. Can I mark anything out? Only those x's, because those are attached with plus and minus. I could pull a 4 out of this, but it really, and then it would be 12 on the outside. But it's x plus 2 in the numerator, nothing you can do with that. And I'm okay with 3 times 4x, minus 4, but it's also x plus 2 over, pull out a 4, 12 times x minus 1. This is what your book did. I really don't think that's any better than this one, See, that's like Math Away would say one, Wolfram Alpha would say another. So that's it. I don't think it's terrible. It looks fancy. I like fancy math. I feel very smart when I do fancy math. So I hope you do too. Come back and we'll talk about something else. Math is great.